Abade. Koda, man. I lived in the Western region for about 6 months, early part of my career, and I just love the way they speak the fancy. So abade, abade, inyo, abade, abade. Koda, we see wonderful, beautiful music there, bringing us to GTV's headlines segment, where we look at the current affairs, all the news that is trending. And so my guests are seated all ready to start the first Thursday show for April. And Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete is the president and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, and he's seated close to the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimi Yao Shaibu. Salam alaikum. Shalom, gentlemen.
Alaikum salam and shalom, peace.
Indeed.
To the whole of the country.
Exactly so. Reverend, how are you?
God has been good to me.
I've seen your billboards sprouting all over the place like mushrooms. This nonsense must stop. Yes. Which of the nonsenses
a lot of nonsenses going on in life. Homes, families, politics, church, religion, life, and uncertainty and economy. A lot of nonsenses. And that word nonsense is a metaphor that describes absurdity of something that should not happen. There are a lot of children today who don't have work. There are a lot of people today who don't have food. There are a lot of people today who have in excess. And yesterday, there are people who are giving one meal. So a lot of things are happening. And of course, if you look at the trend of our current country now, a lot of things are going on that, whether we like it or not, it is absurd. And that is the nonsense that must stop. And I'm also looking at us being very holistic, godly minded. So it's going to be a 1 month program, starting from the 1st of May to the 31st of May. This is the 3rd year in running that I've been doing that program. Every May, we do it from 1st of May and I do it in such a way that it doesn't contradict with anybody's work at all. We start prayers at 6 o'clock and finish at 8 o'clock. Okay. So 2 hours every morning. And we are having it at the Christian Village, right behind the Achimota School and Achimota Hospital there. And everybody knows when you get to Christian Village now, I think I'm the unofficial president in that area. When you say you're looking for where Lawrence holds the meeting, everybody will lead there. We use it used to be the Fountain Gate of Life Chapel, and we renovated it, put it together, and now we've given it a new name, the Miracle Center. Okay. And so it's wonderful. And we collaborate with a lot of churches. People come from all walks of life to come and just pray for 2 hours.
And this year it starts on a Monday.
Yes.
1st of May is a Monday.
Yes, it is. So and the interesting thing is that a lot of people who already were praying at Achimota Forest and Achimota, this in the Legon Forest and Gimpa Forest. So that is an opportunity for them to come to a place where the air, the pollution and everything is rather secured for them. So I'm looking forward to that program, and I know we'll pray for the sick and believe God to also pray for Ghana. You know, a nation that does not pray is a nation that is doomed. And that is why for us, I think it's even a good thing. At the back of the Muslim prayer, we continue with them to do another 1 man prayer. And who knows, God will hear from Allah and hear from Jesus, and I think what will make Ghana sustainable. Remember, a nation that is prayerless is powerless too. So let's come and pray together. And I'll be leading through. So the whole of May, I'm not going anywhere. I've cancelled every program I'm going to be. And there are a lot of people, chief executive leaders, who come early in the morning to come and pray from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and then they go. Okay. So from 1st to 31st, Christian Village from 6 to 8 a.m. Yes.
All days.
Yes.
And every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to Sunday.
Every day.
Every single day. Okay. 31 days of prayer.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I've carved it in such a way that there will not be any conflict with work. I also believe in productivity. As much as I'm very charismatic and strong Christian, I also don't think we should use prayer in place of work. So we've carved it in such a way that it's 2 hours, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. And when you finish, go to work. When you finish, go to school. Don't go and lazy up and say, I went to work. That's why he who does not work must not eat.
That's all. If you don't work,
there's an interesting story. Somebody was going to write an examination. Instead of him to study and prepare very well, he said, oh, God will do everything.
So he wrote his prayer and then put it at the head of his bed and said, Yankopon and a bohoro. Every day. He went back and slept. And during the examination, he was sitting down there and no inspiration was coming. So his point is very important here. You do your part. Do your part, humanly speaking, and then leave the rest to God. That is what makes you responsible. And this nonsense must stop. There's a lot of distractions. Distractions that is moving us away, from what we should practically do as a people upon whom God has bestowed his favors, giving us a nation that is endowed with so much of resources that when properly managed, will bring happiness to all of us. But we have paid lip service to God who has given us this for a long time. Even though we yesterday we spoke together with Reverend at the IEA program.
What was the program about?
It was about the religious groups' view or reflections on the review or amendment of the Constitution, and we all shared different of that. And I introduced my point by saying that we give unto ourselves a constitution that is not theocratic but theistic. Theistic in the sense that it's a constitution that believes in God and places God at the beginning of the constitution. It begins in the name of the Almighty God. We give unto ourselves. Meaning that it's a country that believes in God. Unfortunately, it has been lip service all these years. So since 1992, 30 years of our constitutional rule. We're only fortunate, I will insist, is God has been very gracious to us and has held our country in peace. But in terms of our behavior and what we should do, we have not done much. And so now it has become an issue of public discourse. Should we in the Constitution, review Constitution, overhaul the Constitution? Why has it become all of a sudden an issue of public interest? And we are still asking. There must be a reason why. Maybe because of our excesses, we have not been able to allow the Constitution to operate very well. And so we needed now to still, where are the areas where there are weaknesses that is allowing for some of the excesses? For example, yesterday, Reverend spoke very extensively about the excess powers of the president. And we are not the only ones who are saying this. Not this president, but all the presidents that have gone.
Because they're all using the same thing.
I mean, I even feel so much worried that President Atta Mills put in place, commissioned the CRC, and they came out with very far-reaching recommendations that will help us.
Constitutional Review.
The Constitutional Review Commission. Look at the sum of money that was expended in doing that, not in hard, durable American currency. I'm talking about dollars. Dollars. We expend this money as a nation to do this, and we make no meaning out of it. See, what are we doing to ourselves as a nation? I feel worried. What are we doing to our nation? That at one time we thought that there was the need for something to be done to correct weaknesses, to address inadequacies, so it would take us forward. But ever since this work was done, we have had two presidents, together with Atta Mills, Excellency Atta Mills of blessed memory himself, who did not have the chance, am I right? Who did not have the chance to live longer enough to see whether he, in his time, would have implemented the recommendation of the Constitution. After him, we had the one who succeeded him. And after him, we had one who succeeded again. And that huge document, I don't know how many pages, still lies collecting dust. And now we are now still debating again in this country.
When the work has already been done.
Oh, You see, so we need to be fair to. And if you look at the opening chapters of the Bible, it talks about we give unto ourselves this constitution and posterity. Posterity. So in the mind of the reformers constitution, it means that what we are doing is we are forward-looking people who are not thinking of those of generations today, but that we hold in trust what belongs to generation to come. So what are we doing to ourselves? And so these distractions and this, I call it these distractions that is moving us away, and this nonsense
must stop.
You really must do something. I call to young people who want to enter into politics, begin to change your mindset, move away from politics for profit, and move on to politics for service. That's why the theme for the CRC said, Constitution. We are moving away from political constitution to developmental constitution. Okay. Yes.
I hope the young people are listening. This is GTV Breakfast. I'm here with the Reverend and the Sheikh. A couple flip through some of the headlines. The Mirror: 3 Lotto operators lost over 250,000 CDs. Daily Graphic: anti-witchcraft bill to undergo pre-stakeholders engagement. We actually have a bill against witches. Rote learning not helpful, says the UG Vice Chancellor, UGB, University of Ghana. Easter celebration: love, forgiveness, honesty must reign supreme. Church leaders calling out to Ghanaians. Decisions of Supreme Court critical for national development, says the President. And CSOs, being the civil society organizations, call on Electoral Commission appointees to resign. And I want to read that story. Page 16 of today's Daily Graphic. 3 civil society organizations have called for the resignation of 2 of the 3 persons recently appointed by the President to the Electoral Commission as a result of their perceived affiliation to the governing New Patriotic Party. They said the 2 persons, Dr. Peter Apiahini and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, must do the honorable thing by immediately resigning from the EC in order to repose trust in the Commission and ensure its credibility and organization of elections in the country. So the CSOs which made the call at a press conference yesterday are the Star Ghana Foundation, the Civic Forum Initiative, and the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, of which you are a part, Sheikh.
Yes, I'm still the acting chairman.
Yes, indeed. Of CODIO.
Of CODIO.
So summarize the position of CODIO on this matter.
Yeah, we had a discussion earlier on ourselves to assess the situation about the president's appointment of those 3 people, and some of the comments attributed to the president about how he finds it innocuous, to appoint such people. Our viewpoint is that already we have had this problem we have had for some years now. Since the appointment of the current chairman, we have had a lot of debates, challenges, protests, about the credibility of the members of the Electoral Commission. This is a problem that we have been dealing with, and we have at the back of our mind that we have a very critical election that is confronting us in 2024. And so therefore the need for us to enhance and work and address this trust deficit. It appeared to us we were gradually overcoming that, because remember the NDC have been up in arms about the political leanings of one of the members of the Electoral Commission, and they've alleged that he has even made certain public comments before, which means that already he has a certain mindset of a certain prejudice before. So therefore then that becomes a basis for mistrust. But over the period, we gradually were overcoming, because it's like he's been there for all this while, and so what is the big deal? Then all of a sudden we hear the appointment of people who are coming to fill vacancies within the commission, whose public position has been made clear, right? They have a leaning to the ruling party. One that I've been seeing publicly on radio, speaking, means that he has a certain political leaning.
And he's a patron of TESCOM.
Yeah. So, you see, it's not even about the individuals who are there, but the integrity, the institutional integrity of EC is what is of importance to us, because this institution that is supposed to be a referee, an umpire, in elections that portends to really be hotly contested. Yeah, and so the impartiality of the members and the collective impartiality of the institution itself for us is very, very critical to ensure that we have a free and fair election. So, though the president has exercised his mandate, but I think that a lot of reflections should have gone into it, and to ensure that we appoint people who will not have the political taint that will give reason and justification for anyone to doubt the work of the EC. So from the angle of election observers, the CODIO is a coalition of domestic election observers in Ghana here, but we are also affiliated to other global election observation networks. For example, we have what we call the WAION, the West Africa Election Observation Network, and so on and so forth. So we are interested in, not in Ghana alone, but indeed we are interested in elections in West Africa, and the world at large. Because in most of the elections have been at the core of some of the very, very terrible conflicts that we have ever had. And Ghana, we don't want to slip, and we don't want to underestimate the possibility of us slipping into any electoral violence. And so that's why we are worried about this. And truly, our position is that those two people, they have no need and the necessity. They have no need, I'm using these words, no need and the necessity to be on the Electoral Commission. In other words, they can survive without being members. So they should be morally guided and by the ethics that they have to say, look, though we want to serve, but given our current position, we want to be honorable. We thank the president, thank him so much for the honor, but given the ethical demand of this work, we want to resign. And that would be so honorable. That would be honorable for us. And that also goes to what we spoke yesterday. You see, even the choice of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, from the time of the exit of Afarijan, the CODIO was so keen in making sure we have a framework that will ensure that we can nominate or elect or appoint a new Electoral Commission that will be free from any public, protest. And so I remember we have to even meet the Council of State at that time, before Charlotte Osei was appointed. We went there with certain criteria that if it could be considered, Afarijan had held this place for a long time, so his exit is going to create a big gap. So now for us to have some kind of national consensus could be used to, so we actually, but at the time, it was late for us to have gone there. So that's how come Charlotte Osei was. And ever since she was put there, the MPP, which was at the time in opposition, never took it lightly. Never took it lightly. And at the time, whatever happens, NDC ran to the defense of Charlotte Osei anytime the MPP was in protest against any of the things. And so she also had it tough before finally she organized the election that saw the appointment, the inauguration of the president. And the president at the time praised that election, that she had organized one of the best elections. But even after that, shortly after that, the process was initiated that saw her exit. Yeah. And ever since the new one was appointed, the NDC has also not been comfortable. And that's why Jean Mensa has never had respite ever since she was appointed. And I said it yesterday, that it really, if she happened to be like my sister or my wife, I don't know whether I could sleep. If at the public that you have one person who's, who has suffered so much public attack and censure, just because she had to come and do this work. You see, so once we have some of these things, let's even do it in such a way that anyone we appoint will have the freeness of the mind. The psychology of the person should be so subtle that the public has no reason to have any doubt about the person, right, so that the collective and the institutional integrity and the impartiality of that institution will be guaranteed. That's why these three organizations, Star Ghana, the CFI, and then CODIO had to jointly come.
Okay.
And if those two people will listen to us strongly, I at CODIO level, you remember, I announced the result of our PVT, the parallel voter tabulation, and we said that what we did confirms what the EC did, and so the president won the election. And on that grounds, I still maintain that position, because it's an institutional and organizational position. And I read that, okay, and I suffered a lot of bashing. I suffered a lot of bashing for having spoke in the red on behalf of CODIO. So in much similar vein, I still maintain a position that if somebody had been appointed today by the president, and we have seen that contained the integrity, I still say here on behalf of CODIO that those people must consider resigning honorably, even though the president had given them.
I'm going to bring Reverend in for his take on it, but just read a couple of comments that Reverend Dr. Degbe, representing CODIO, yesterday made, and then a little brief bio of the people who are in question, and then you can get your comments. So Reverend Dr. Degbe said it was unhelpful that the announcement of these people who were appointed was not accompanied by any detailed bio information, telling you, giving you some background information, and they felt that possibly the Council of State is supposed to have done that. Yeah, right. Yeah. So in the absence of adequate official biographical information on the appointees, we too, like the public and the media generally, have been compelled to rely on internet searches, social media, and other unofficial sources to learn more about the appointees. So let's go through them. The one at the center of the storm is Dr. Appiah Hini. So Reverend Dr. Davis said, according to his LinkedIn page, Dr. Appiah Hini was an assistant science lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Sunyani, where he heads the Department of Computer Science and Informatics. He holds a PhD in Computer Science and an MPhil in Information Technology. Since the announcement of his appointment as member of EC, Reverend Dr. Davis said social media postings had revealed that Dr. Appiah Hini was an activist of the MPP in the Bono region, and that in one social media comment from January 2021 headed Dr. Appiah Hini for Bono region, he was featured on an MPP labeled flyer as one of 6 prospects for the position of Bono regional minister. He said the commenter who put up that post said, I quote, "The Bono region and the MPP need much more energetic and vibrant leadership to help take the region to the desired goals," end quote, and urge all to rally behind Dr. Appiah Hini to achieve more, end quote. In another social media video clip that had gone viral since his appointment, Reverend Dr. Davis said Dr. Appiah Hini was seen and heard participating in a radio program, Anopa Nimdeɛ Adrasu, on Nimdeɛ FM, self-identified MPP activist in the Bono region, and naming one Kwame Bafu, popularly known as Abronye DC, as his chairman. So this is what we have gleaned from social media. Now, the other person in question is Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, nee Salima Sani Mahama. So she was a banker with ADB and holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Integrated Development Studies and an MBA in Project Management, currently also an MSc Finance student. So, according to Dr. Degbe, internet searches and other social media exchanges since the announcement of her appointment had revealed additional information. She is said to be married to one Sheikh Tibi Bamba, a leading member of the MPP, who was formerly the second national vice chairman of the party and served as Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia from 2017 to 2021. Hajia Tijani's mother, Hajia Samata Gifty Bukhari, was the first elected woman, first vice chairperson of the MPP in the northern region. Her sister, Hajia Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria, is currently CEO of Maslock, which is a microfinance and small loan center, contested a 2020 MPP primary in the Yendi constituency and had already publicly announced her intention to contest again in 2024. And the end quote, Dr. Debe says, Hajia Tijani's multiple close familial relationship with leading and active NPP figures raises apparent conflict of interest concerns, and for that matter, a legitimate perception and appearance of a lack of independence. Okay, there was a third person who didn't have anything against her, Reverend Ikea Ufuri Boateng, who was the director for programs of the Anglican Diocese of Accra. She's a priest, has a BSc in engineering physics, master's in mechanical engineering, and an MBA, as well as an MA in the ministry from the Trinity Theological Seminary in Legon. Okay, so basically also hosting of a gospel show to 9.5 since June 2020. Nothing problematic has been found in her background, according to Dr. Bebe of Kodio. So these are the people at the center of this storm. And I was listening to Dr. Debe yesterday saying that he realistically did not expect the president to recall his nominations, but they expected the people to do the honorable thing, to resign. Issues raised about the how the whole process happened, or should have happened, because then the Council of State would have then shortlisted and ranked the final candidates and made the appropriate recommendation to the president. So what do you make of all of this? CSO is calling on these two EC appointees to resign. They're already in the seat.
Let me begin by saying a congratulations to my sister. We don't say cousins. Rebecca Becky Nate Ajeho is my uncle's daughter.
Okay.
She and went on secondment to the EC.
Yeah.
And
she's retired, right?
She's retired.
Yeah. Okay.
Honorably, and we are very proud of it. So Becky, manager Mono Kabuki. It was her father who named me Lawrence.
Yeah.
So her father was my direct godfather. Let me say that this problem brings me back to the scriptures that says in Psalm 11 verse 3 that if the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? This is a fundamental problem. What is a fundamental problem? It started as far back as 1992 when our constitution was being drafted. President Rawlings was existing power. He's led a military government. And if you look at the entirety of the 1992 constitution, it favored the president more than anybody else in the nation. So it made the president carry an excessive power that undermined the entire government and governance process. We studied about arms of government, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary. We also studied about separation of powers, where these arms of government are separated so to be independent. And we also had the privilege to study about checks and balances. All these things were really violated in the crafting of the 1992 Constitution. And that is why we have to go back to the drawing board again. Because the powers that were arrogated to the president was so strong that all of them took advantage of it. President Rawlings, President Kufuor, President Tamils, as much as they spoke, President John Mahama, and currently President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And no politicians will always take advantage of the loophole.
Right, but who caused them? Because the Ghana Bar Association boycotted the draftings of the 1992 Constitution. These are the Bar Association.
I am coming. I'm coming there.
How did they do that?
I am coming there. In the past, people have complained that some of us who are pastors or clergy or clerics should not go into politics. And I ask that is absolute nonsense. If we don't go there, fools will decide for us.
So that nonsense must stop.
That nonsense must stop. The issue where when politicians want us to speak for them, they come and they kneel down. You see Christians kneeling down in the Muslim mosque, and Muslims coming to kneel down in Christian mosque. They say hallelujah much more than we do. And then we also go to the place and go and say Allah Akbar, because they wanted our vote. But when you begin to be principled and speak on the basis of principle like we are doing now, people say, no, you are Christians or you are Muslims, don't go into politics. And that is what we need to correct now. Yesterday's meeting was about this. I had time to speak at the IEA. He also spoke. 5 of us spoke. It was chaired by former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo. And we had the likes of Samoko Jato and a lot of But it was a very full house yesterday.
The seniors,
yes.
Who regretted the GBA boycotting the 1992 draft.
He spoke yesterday. We had a lot of chat yesterday. But yesterday, we spent over 5 hours together, and it was worth it because they put a lot of us together who had something to say, really. And we're giving time and drafted speeches, so you cannot go and just mess up. And I think yesterday we saluted Sheikh. Sheikh was on top of it. I think we voted for him.
And then he was excellent.
So we had a very good time. But what's Kafui? The problem is, what is wrong is wrong. And if we don't handle this thing carefully, this is what brings tension. We need to be very sensitive to the time. And like Reverend Dr. Fred Degbe rightly said, the gentleman and the lady should do the honorable things. Ethically, how can you even stay there if you know you are connected to a particular party so strong? Of course, everybody in Ghana will have some lineage, some level, or to some party. But at least if you are a known fanatic of that party, then you have to be very careful not to take appointment that undermine the already ailing democracy we have. Our economy, our democracy is bleeding. And whether we like it or not, there are a lot of things that are happening in Ghana now that I think we can do better than. So in order for us to improve on that, let us try as much as possible that seemingly things like this are to undermine our democracy and our party politics is dealt with. I will recommend that moving forward, the gentleman and the lady, in the spirit of Ghana, the love for Ghana, decide to honorably resign. And like Sheikh rightly said, these are not hungry people. These are not people who are looking for jobs. These are not people who, if they are not there, they will not get anything to do. In fact, the president has all the prerogative, and that is one of the biggest bane of our politics today, that there's so much powers allocated to the president that he seems to be appointing the Supreme Court, the Parliament, the MFCs. In fact, I even believe in my own view, it is very sensitive for a president to appoint an IGP. These are things that we should look at so that there will be some level of independence, and that independence we don't have. So I will recommend really that as most of us are putting our energies together to review the Constitution, those who are in the helm of affairs should try as much as possible not to continue to abuse the system. And I will recommend strongly that they should do the honorable thing like Dr. Fred Degbe said. And it will be in their own interest, because once hands have been pointed to them now, they will never have any rest. And this whole issue of, you made a point yesterday that was very powerful, that it's only when we are in opposition that we see corruption. And this is one of the things that we should be looking at. It is not good. It's not fair. It's not right. And you cannot be trusted. And you must be the referee. The EC is the referee of our election. And if we don't have a referee that is non-biased, we are not safe.
Do you think they'll resign, though?
They will.
You think so?
Yes. It's in their interest, Kafui.
Sometimes people work against their own personal interests.
It would be very unwise of them. And don't forget that every position is transient. I just told you that Rebecca Kabuki Nate Ajeho is my cousin. We were excited for her, but she's finished. She's over 60 years now. She's finished. I bet she's going back to Attorney General or whatever again. You understand? So she's a lawyer. There's so much she can do with her life. That is not the end of the world. I saw Hudiaya the last time in court, and he was in his legal gown. And so I heard him and say, hey, Barbara, you see how school good. Even though your government is not in power, your party is not in power, you are still engaged because you have a profession. And so most of them, look at the profile that you just read. A PhD, a head of department, an MSc. These are not people who are hungry at all. No. In fact, the president can give them many other things, and it is in his prerogative. But moving forward, let us realize that our constitution has a lot of problems, and we need to rectify it. and a lot of things that we are not looking at now. You'll be surprised, even Rwanda constitution is doing better than our constitution. South Africa constitution is doing better. And don't forget that for a very long time, Ghana became the beacon of hope for the whole of Africa. So we need to be very careful not to send wrong signal in instances like that. I will fully and strongly recommend that as soon as possible, they give way. And the president can give them so many things to do. They can go and work at the presidency. It's doable. It's the prerogative of the president to push you there, but not instances and situations and positions that will cause a mess. And this one, the red flag is too strong for us to not talk about it. And let me say this. When we say this thing, we have to be realistic. We are looking at it holistically. We speak on a basis of principle.
Yeah.
Yesterday, as I spoke on the powers of the president, I made very clear that from Jerry's days till today, all of them have enjoyed it. And even though they keep making comments, trust me, they all took advantage of it. Because the powers that are arrogated to the president is too strong. Somebody referred to it
as equal to the divine powers.
Divine powers.
I still don't understand why the Ghana Bar Association, because they saw hairdressers and butchers in the drafting of the 1992 Constitution, they just.
No, Kafu,
how does a Bar Association not be part of the drafting?
You are losing sight of something.
How?
Politics, you see, politics has a way of dropping out. So many things happened that made them feel uncomfortable. But I keep saying, emotions have no intellect. The Bar Association handled the situation on the basis of emotions. So by the time they realize they've given in, and if you give the devil attention, he gives you direction.
And the very thing that they didn't want to happen happened.
That is what I'm
saying. Didn't want butchers and hairdressers.
If you give the devil attention,
and then
the
lawyers step out for the butchers and hairdressers to draft the constitution.
It was the pride and the arrogance of the legal minds of the time. Just like NPP also wanted to boycott the elections, only to regret
the 96 election.
Yeah, and to rush back 92, now. Yeah. And now, because if you stay out.
Yeah.
But to have really made indications of the lowly positions of certain people for me was
below the belt.
Below the belt.
You
know, like looking at butchers or those things. But that they all are to make the nation.
Exactly.
And so if their views was being sought, it was in place. Let them come with how they feel, what they think, and you come with the legal side
and then
of
put it into the document,
and let's see what we can do. So for them to have led us into this kind of situation, but whatever it is, this is where we are. 30 years after the promulgation of the current destiny, we still are seeing these things, and we are talking about this because these are things that are hurting. You're hurting the very spirit of the nation. That's why it has become a concern. We are feeling hurt by it, and so there must be some remedy. The 2024 election is coming, and I serve on the Peace Council, and I'm on CODIO also, and I say that it is going to be one of the critical and hotly contested elections. So we have this at the back of our mind, even from the peace work angle. We are sitting on tenterhooks still. How will we handle it? And then from the CODIO point of view, where we want to see the what we call the EMB, the election management body,
right,
that will be seen by word of perception and public image. For us, it's so critical. It's so critical for us. Don't want anybody to raise a question and to have a justification or a reason. Sometimes even can make a genuine mistake, but because of the perception.
Right.
Because you were the one involved. But that mistake could be genuine. But because of the taint, somebody have now a grounds now to engage in, and that's what we are guarding against. Please, let's hold this nation together. Please, I'm talking to everybody.
Alrighty.
Let's hold this nation together. Avoid things that will cause us to slip. Every election in Ghana, I'm saying the election that we have gone through, we have been at the brink. Seriously. In the last election, we saw what happened. Now, we don't want to be on edge anytime there's election. This country is, we are just one line away from violence. Just small, that slim line. And then God will help us, then we will slip into safety. But let us not make the mistake. Let's hold this country together. Let's make this country safe.
Thank you.
And Kafi, let me say this, I know briefly. We should not lose sight of the fact that every political appointment we hold today is transient.
It doesn't last forever.
It doesn't last forever. So if you don't take care, you create a scenario that you will go and be hurt by it. We have to be very careful. Every position, I see people very, very arrogant and even as if they are God themselves. One day, when your situation is over, then you realize that even those of you who follow the MPs and those of you who follow the Right Speaker of Parliament, you who follow the Chief Justice, you who followed the President, he himself is no more. Where will you be? Where do you think the people who follow Rollins are now? The people who follow Atamis, where are they now? The people who follow John Mama, where are they now? The people who follow Kufo, where are they now? So we should be very careful not to think that whatever we have now is forever. It is transient. The only thing that is not transient is the name of God.
Amen. Amen to that. And from that, we are going to go step out of the office and we'll come back and talk about a police officer who has retired. I'm sure you all know him.
You know him very well.
So go to Jay Gabra right now, who has something to keep an eye on. Jay, good morning. Welcome to the show. It's 7 minutes past 8 o'clock. Where are you? What can you report as you're keeping an eye this morning?
Thank you so much, Kafui. So driving in Ghana sometimes can be an extreme sport. You may be going on the road, you may see a pothole and figure, oh, it's just a pothole you can go through, until you enter and realize it may be a manhole. You may be going around and a commercial driver may just enter the main road without indicating. A taxi driver can do the same. Sometimes there's road rage. And yesterday on our way back from Ashama, there were even cattle that were crossing the road. So it's an extreme sport sometimes. And then, of course, there's the Ajay Mensah situation where we are reporting live this morning from the Aboba Ashoma Road here in North Legon. Directly behind me is a cover situation for commuters who like to apply this route. From here, you can head towards Aboba and Ashoma. And this particular Ajay Mensah junction leads towards North Legon and Medina. Ironically, there's a sign that says you are entering North Legon residential area. You need to slow down, no littering, no honking, and stuff like that. Well, what's ironic is the fact that with a junction such as this one, which is completely broken down and filled with debris and water, you will have to slow down. I spoke to one taxi driver who was telling us that sometimes, just because of this junction and how crucial and critical it is for those who are heading towards Medina and North Legon, you realize that it causes a lot of traffic. And going down south, you realize that Wisconsin University is about 200 meters away from here. It can cause traffic all the way from that side to this place, all because drivers are avoiding this cavern, which is right in the middle of the road. At the moment, it's filled with debris, and you see the iron rods poking out, and some places are even completely worn off in the middle over there. So what happens is, for vehicles who have to pass this side, you have to wait when one goes, then you also enter. So when there's a lot of traffic, that's when it causes that kind of chaos, because at this moment, we don't know who has to go, and who has to come in. Like you can see presently, one Uber driver is entering, and one other vehicle has to wait before he can enter. If you try to move too quickly, you may enter the middle, which has a crater or pothole in the middle, and you may destroy your vehicle completely. This is the challenge the residents have been facing for over a year. I see a number of well-built residences in the area, and I'm just wondering maybe if they can speak to the assembly, come together, do a contribution, and do this job. I'm sure in no small time it will be fixed, and all the havoc that it causes will be stopped. But I don't know what they are waiting for. Maybe they are waiting for the whole cover to be broken off completely, then they come in to save the situation. I have with me one of taxi driver who usually plies the street on this side. He goes by the name of Samson. Samson, yeah. Samson Akwaba. Bibi Aboko there. Bibi can't Mogata who has Ajay Mensah junction. And then I walk out our junction way home.
Okay, Madam, I say no much amateur for you now. Gota we ye gota bi a ada ha che eye dade na da so na dade no ba bi abubu na cement ni nso bi abubu na wo ha che pa na enam se ba bi abubu na ka me no ntumi mbo nsa ho nti no e create traffic from Wisconsin to here no traffic ni ma betumi ade by just 1 minute but se dura nwumre by 4:30 to 5 ubetumi free Wisconsin where the traffic mu by 1 hour before you get to this destination and after so no cars ni nso to togotanim because of say omo mpese omo befa ba bi ho bubu nti no omo call na lane so omo to togotanim ama dane accident ama ya kan say omo so private car ya ma na omo nim driving here no and also how omo pa ma omo car ne to togotanim say cars wa nti gota na so ebetumi de disease aba it is a cholera outbreak ebetumi de aba ama no nso abeha residents omo wa ha no yaka ho asem saa amumya yen aha nso ye kwan a elenke Madina ene agbegba ene Atomic Junction uko wachi say ya supermarket wa ha ya hatwo wa ha ya Charismatic Church eno nso wa ha ya mpanifo atitiru nso fa ha kwasore enso omo nyina hu nso omo nya hwemfa ho ya complain is there is no effort bia omo ya fa ho bia kane
and open person here one last final appeal in about 30 seconds and then the war adwin so person catch our assembly and I say obi out this side.
Okay, the America chere Madina Lankwantana Municipal Assembly say ahanso ka Madina constituency ho enti omo nye bibi na omo ntumi hwese problem we be solve and afen so no omo ye atitirufu omo ha fi say aha North Legon atitirufu na tie fi say higher residential area omo nso betumi a contribute to a tumi ntu omo hu nsi no omo nso hwese oha no to betwa cause ihwemu ye omo na omo fa hakọ omo afiefim ye de ye taxi driver for ye twema yakọ ba omo na yale bi ba ha ebe ha omo to omo nso hwe de omo betumi ayafa ho na omo meboa oha ho.
Something that's it, yeah. So something briefing us on the situation on how it's affecting a lot of vehicles. Some people who are not able to drive properly fall into the gutter completely and it destroys their vehicles, causing a lot of traffic. And because this place has access to Madina, Atomic Junction, Aboba and all that, it's quite critical, and unfortunately this is the situation at hand. And he was also commenting on the fact that the water in the gutter could also cause a sanitation crisis, in that it could cause a cholera outbreak for those who are living in the area. That's a summary of what he just said. And this is the situation here at the Ajay-Mensah Junction. Back to you, Kafui, in the studio.
Okay, Jay, thank you so much for that. If you have any issues keep an eye on, and it doesn't just have to be limited to the Greater Accra region, from Gambaga to Accra, from Wioso to Keta. If you tell us, we will come there, all right? And we'll come and keep an eye on the issue and bring the issues to the public attention. I'm here with Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete and Sheikh Aremia Shaibu, and we're looking at the top stories in the news. CSOs calling on 2 EC appointees to resign from a resignation to a retirement because on his 60th birthday, which was yesterday, 5th of April 2023, Commissioner of Police Nathan Kofi Boakye retired yesterday. This man was on the lips of many Ghanaians in the early 2000s when he was known as Commander One, who took no nonsense. He stopped the nonsense of criminal activity, especially when he was in Ashanti region. He was also able to arrest, among others, and he also came down. If you think the current IGP was the only person who was going after celebrities, well, this man was able to arrest Shatta Wale and Kwakesi back then, if you remember. His name's COP Nathan Kofi Boakye, who has retired right now. Your personal experience, you've met him before?
Oh, I know Kofi very well. He's my brother, he's my friend.
Okay.
He did very well at Takoradi, Western region, before he even moved to Kumasi.
Okay.
But of course, as a policeman, remember, he's also an astute lawyer.
Yeah.
So he's somebody who has played a lot of role, and he has served in many capacities. It's just sad that he never became an IGP before he left, because he was some person that would have really the kind of intellectual potential he has and the capacity he has would have been a very good IGP. And this is what I keep saying, as sometimes the age limit to some of these retiring ages, we should modify it. I made a statement about it yesterday, and I used former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo as an example that in some part of the world, in America and in the UK and certain part of the world, they look at your intellectual capacity and you are given a chance, a strength, as long as you want to do. If you look at Kofi Boakye yesterday, I saw the clips between him and Dr. Dampare giving him some badges and things. You realize that if he has his own way, he's still energetic, he's still strong, he's still fit, he can still go some 5 more years. So we should consider some of this age. And this is why some people in the civil service end up changing their ages so that they get their football.
The 60 comes too quickly.
The
60 comes too quickly.
But I want to say congratulations to Kofi Boakye. Me and him has a saying, this one too is for good. And so by this time, if he's listening to me, yes, he will know exactly what this one too is for good is. As we go through life, throughout the changing seasons, and somebody who has a lot of respect for the people of God. And I want to say congratulations, my brother. I'm happy you did it. When his daughter was having the wedding, I had a privilege to go and be one of the officiating ministers. So this is how much of close relationship we have. And it's somebody that my heart goes out for. He loves God. He's very sober. He's a no-nonsense man.
He doesn't take nonsense.
And he believes in the nonsense that must stop.
He's talked a lot of nonsense.
So I want to wish him very well, and I pray that the next stage of his life, he should also not forget that he's not finished at all. There's so much work for him in Ghana. I believe Kofi Boakye can be a very good interior minister. He can be very good in most of these agencies. He can be very good, and he's an intellectual, true and true. He's got a strong capacity, and he's well-spoken. He's very articulate and well-spoken. There are a lot of people who have studied, but they are not well-spoken. But this one, Kofi Boakye, is well-spoken, and I salute you, my brother.
Sheikh, any personal deal?
Oh, yes. There's somebody who has been known, within our security terrain, for a long time, from being the commander in Ashanti region. I remember when the chief imam was invited to intervene in some communal clashes in Ashanti region, in the Kumasi specific, Tafo. He was then present there, and he played a critical role. I also shared with him the same platform within the education, because then he was also pushed to at that time within the police section, they call the place Siberia, because it's a dried place. So he was reassigned, and so he was put at the education directorate of the police service, and so he also came within the educational domain. That's when we now came closely. At the time I was also the chairman of the conference of managers for educational units.
Yes.
So once he was brought onto the educational scene, and we had to be working together. And like you said, somebody who is intellectually gifted. He's so good. He understands the nuances of the police service very well. He's experienced and skilled in dealing with matters of criminality. If you come close to him, I like him for his toughness of mind and how fearless he is in dealing with some of these criminal things when they do happen. He's somebody who is a gift to the country that we should, but unfortunately, because of the nature of our politics, does not allow us to really tap the most of the gifted people. Once you are seen as the favorite of one political party, and one political party comes to power, he has to consign you to some place, and sometimes you can just remain there for some. But I think the current IGP saw the potentials he has and the experience. So I've seen how they have related and the way he respects him, so that he can tap into his experience and really bring something new into the whole policing, of the country. So it was a shock to me. I didn't know that he's on retirement. I just got to know.
Yesterday was his birthday, 60.
Oh, as 60. So Kofi Boakye, he's a good friend. When we meet, we talk very well. And so congratulations. You are retired, but you are not tired. Look, there are, like myself, how many years now when I went on retirement, but I'm still active. I may not be directly in charge of education as I used to be, but there are things that I'm doing that still makes me relevant in society. So he has a lot of, and I think that this government and other governments should not leave him to remain like that without still making use of these long years of experience.
Yeah, decades.
I mean,
3 decades.
Of police experience.
31 years.
NGOs are there that can tap into, I mean, the international organizations are there. I mean, I think he can fly and get some other things. He still will remain relevant to the security of our country, and I think that we should not deny him, that opportunity.
Knowing him as you know him, do you think he would have some regrets of not attaining the highest position as IGP?
Look, every human being, you want to get to the pinnacle of what you do. And of course, he was very close to it. There were two gentlemen that were very close to it. Christian Tete Yohuno and Nathan Kofi Boakye. And so definitely any of them at all. And like Tingabiu. So all of them were there. And of course, once you become the COP, you are eligible to become an IGP. It's just and this is a provision by the president. If the president now picks you, you are there. But I think he has accomplished. And even though he never became the IGP, he's left on a good note. And I'm happy for him.
What do you think is his greatest achievement?
He stood for principles. Remember, Kofi Boakye has been also tested. There was a time he had a case, there was a time he went through certain situations, I mean, in a very hard time. And for him to have emerged from all those things, to have become what he is today, that is what I could congratulate him for. And I have a saying for many years, I gave him a book and I wrote on it, tough times never last, but tough people do. He's a tough guy. And I think we all know, nobody in Ghana here, whether NDC, MP or CPP, will say Kofi Boakye was not astute. And still today, he's one of the well-spoken policemen that I know. Speaks very well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts. We're going to go to the message board in a short while. I'm just going through some of the headlines that I saw. They say what? Rote learning is not good. Well, rote learning not helpful. This chew, poor, pass and forget. We are still doing that in our system. The chew baba.
Yeah, it's
even more now than before.
It's still there. It has its uses. It has its uses, but having the understanding of the basic concepts for application is very important. I think that's where we miss the point. Rote learning, sometimes you need to really, it's about memorization and pushing knowledge into the long-term memory so that for recall, you are able to really get it back and be able to use it. So, but if you stop at rote learning alone, because there are things that you really must memorize. I mean, like
212, 212, 224. Like the script.
Yes. That's in Islam, for example, we take pride in Quranic memorization. So you can have a child 7 years who have memorized the totality of the Holy Quran.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Who is the youngest you've met that has?
From 7 years. Currently, the chief imam has a school for that purpose alone.
7?
Yeah.
The entire Quran.
So there are children now who are at the age of 7, 6 who are then now being trained to memorize the totality of the Quran.
Wow. So there's a place for it.
No, there's a place for rote learning.
Remember our 212, 222.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm able to recall certain formulas to my children and say, tell them, look, this mathematics when I was.
You learned this already.
Some of these the songs we sing.
Yes.
Even it helps us to memorize.
It's true. More messages coming in on 055-556-1034. Remember the messages, you're responsible for your messages. GBC does not necessarily associate with the messages, the views expressed in our messages. You think that with the way the president is handling the Election Commission, General Mosquito can become the next EC chair, and there must be nothing wrong with it. That's your take. Dan Inkpe. It's now time for the clergy and clerics to take the destiny of our country into their hands. They should hit hard at government whenever government policies tend to destroy our democratic gains. The last second, sincerely, this government is taking advantage of our calmness and standards for peace to oppress us. We as a country have not done enough to ensure peace, but it's only fair to live in peace. Mickey Darling, sending your warmest piao to these fine gentlemen, Sheikh and Doctor. They are an inspiration to us. In fact, someone like COP Kofi Boakye has been given another role to augment our security services. Contribution COP KB Michael Ashalaja. How does English. Piao. What does it mean? Piao.
Piao.
No, I want to translate it.
It's something I hear that you say piao. I mean,
Piao.
it's a piao, but it's a piao.
Piao. What does it
But,
mean?
you know, it's a kind of like giving you.
It's a sound effect.
Yeah.
Reverend, what does piao
I
mean?
think he's excited. Kudos. Kudos.
I like it's kudos, eh? Reverend has translated it to piao means kudos. All right. I found out today that pakoshito is Scotch bonnet.
I see.
Yes, I learned today, just today. Pakoshito. Our humble kokoshito.
Yeah, it's long
The current state of the economy is not good to talk about. Aaron, you can't give us short messages. Eh? The government should seriously embark on entrepreneurship drive, industrialization, and appropriate tax holidays. Thank you very much. Musa, how are you doing? When you see the government using COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war as a yardstick for their inability to perform, then you know that that government is impotent. Those are your views, not mine. We are only reading. Maoli Kwashi, Sheikh, all that you're saying will not happen until the constitution is being reviewed. Period. Maoli Selassie Chachu Kwashi, Newtown, CAF, about the EC. Can you say that Reverend Dogbe of Kodio is NDC because he's a brother of Stan Dogbe of NDC? I don't know about that.
There's no connection there. They are not related.
Okay, well.
Not,
We blame Mr. Rawlings for the 1992 Constitution, but now we are enjoying the fruits more than him. I dare those in power today to change the things we complain about if it is really bitter in their mouth. Good call. MJ, good morning to my favorite panelist, the Reverend the Sheikh. I'd like to be like you one day. God be our helper. John Makija from Hacho. I wonder what Hacho means. The president should be told in plain language that his actions are destructive and inimical to building the institution. And knowing very fully well that he was appointing partisan politicians and yet went ahead to do it is an insult, thanks to Kodeo. And that is how we want our CSOs to do. Honorable Timothy Atabwade, I won't trim, former MP, Busa North, constituency. Isaac Boachi, you agree 100% with the Reverend? These politicians only see corruption when they are in opposition. Kudos to Mr. Tetepan. Someone is sending us a gift commemorating the Holy Communion. I think it's an Easter message. I see chapters 13 to 17, of which gospel I don't know. This is quite a long one.
Wow.
Wish you well.
A long one.
joeedus@yahoo.com. Thank you. Good morning. Nice discussions. But to be honest, no one in this country is neutral. Even men of God have factions. It's incumbent on us to encourage and task people to deliver on their mandate to political practice. We all have factions.
Neutrality is different from impartiality. But the institution we are talking about must be seen by public image as impartial.
Thank you.
And we insist on that principle.
One time.
We all support a team. You are either a House of Folk supporter or Kotoko supporter.
Yeah, we all.
But some of us are not fanatic.
Thank you.
I vote.
Yes.
When the time comes, I vote, but I'm an election observer.
End of story. 3 good examples. I really enjoy on Thursday mornings full of education. But Kafu, today is my birthday, 1 + 1. What age is +1? Give us the age. What's +1? Kweku Roberts Jr., Wudome Esther. You don't want to tell us your age? Tell us your age. So you are celebrating 2 of your daughters today with Stella, and then on 11th is Matilda. Oh, thank you very much, Kweku. Happy birthday to all of you. We wish you the best. What I see is that we seem not to have anything better to do with our resources as a country. Every 4 years, we spend millions of cedis to do the same old things when it comes to EC. So what happened to new voter ID? It's so sad and painful. We're in a country where everything we do sends us backwards. Even if the EC uses MPP card for the 2024 elections, they'll still lose, says Lottie Jones from Assume. More messages? Yeah, always. There are always more messages. Come on in, CAF and panelists. Congratulations to COP Kofi, Dr. Lawrence, and the Sheikh. They have said it all. God bless you. I'm afraid of the photo. I don't know what it is. Exposed iron rods. Okay. All right. This is a keep an eye issue. Beautiful. This is what we like. You would like to use our program to get the rightful authorities to have this concrete electric pole replaced with the wooden one. It's directly opposite your house. The iron rods which are used as part of the concrete works are so much exposed, posing a great threat to people. As you can see in the video, children are playing around it. Aside the exposed iron rods, there are occasional sparks at the top. All right. And so this is Koligono area. They are pleading with us, good officers. This one, since you've warned me about the video, I can play it if it will play. But if it won't play, we'll still look at it. It's some exposed iron rods that you're telling us about. And, well, it's not playing, so no problem. And so it's in Koligono. We'll get the details. We'll follow it up for you. Thank you so much. Survivor just says, good morning. Good morning back to you, Survivor. Hope you're surviving. In fact, I hope you're thriving. Good morning, CAF and panelists. I want to find a day and time to discuss Council of State and its entirety. Are they still relevant? Are they still drawing allowances? And you also want to talk about Article 71. How do they advise the president of the EC nominations? Good morning. Nice discussions. God bless Nana Rodanko Akufo-Addo and also is it envious or enviable? I think it's enviable, Honorable Dr. Brian Achampon, the man who has shown us that they are still true leaders of our time. Nana Asembi T. Achim Pedja. Yo. Pion. Good morning, CAF, Sheikh, Rev. Okay. You say you need something to help you out for today. You're amazing living in Kumasi. You need a job. All right. We'll talk to you, Nana. Nana the Ghana. Good morning, CAF. Chew and pour is good. Oh. Yeah, in some circumstances. Happy belated birthday to Dr. Kwesi Kwarteng Amwaku, Vice Dean for Social Science Faculty, the University of Education, Winneba. Different kind of question. To Reverend Tete and the Sheikh. Appointments to the EC are a history-making job. Will any one of you two say no to such an appointment given to you? They want to know whether if they made you a commissioner of the EC.
Oh, you see, it's a matter of principle. I remember at the time, I used to have a problem with how the Hajj committee was formed and how it was performing. My wife was invited at one time for consideration. I told her she should not go because if she goes and work on it, I'll be a beneficiary. And even now, from how I feel, you call me to the Hajj board, it's something that I say publicly. It's
Kavui.
Yes, sir.
NDC, MPP, CPP. I don't see any of them who would not be happy to have me in there. So it's just not, yes, no, I mean, tell me, is it President John Mama or President Nado? They'll be very happy to have some of us there, as we sit here now. It will be a plus to them. But it is not on the basis of principle. I'm happy where I am.
One time.
Yeah. And I feel sad for politicians, though, because your heart will be beating when the vote is being counted. I don't want to be in that thing at all. I want to be free.
You've said this quite a lot, many times.
Yes, and you see my billboards outside there.
Yes.
This nonsense must stop.
Yes.
How many politicians can come and do a bill like that? They'll ask you questions. Even your own party will ask you questions.
Which nonsense are you talking about?
Every nonsense.
They'll come ask you lots of questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, we say these things here not because we are looking for an appointment or anything at all. In fact, I'm very happy being Lawrence Tete, the preacher, and for me that gives me fulfillment.
All right, gentlemen.
I don't know about Sheikh, but
oh no, I mean
you're happy where you are.
I'm happy where it's makes it easy for me. Look at the platform on which I have been operating.
Yes.
I mean, the CODEO, for example, is not in favor of any political party. So anytime, that's why we have the courage. If we do our work and it favors Party A, we announce it. If it favors Party B, we announce it. I'm also on the Peace Council. Yeah, Peace Council is supposed to really an institution that brings the nation together. So anything that has to do with that, bringing about our division, creating our tension in the country, that makes our country more divided, and so on, is something that we don't want to be part of it. So I'm happy that when it becomes critical, that they are talking about the peace of the country without pride, I'm happy that I'm one of those that will be invited.
Right.
And for me, that is enough for me.
Okay.
There are three people, before you go, there are three people that inspires me. Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa, Billy Graham of America, and Benson House of Nigeria. When I look at them, clergymen, and still spoke into political matters, it gets me excited. So I don't need an appointment to do that. And plus, I'm not hungry.
What at all? By God's grace. Before I ask you for your Easter message, there was a debate I was having here with a Muslim about fasting and sexual relations. What is the can you still have relations with your wife
during the hours of fasting? You know, we have the hours of the fasting and the hours where you are not fasting. The hours where you are not fasting is in the night.
Yes.
So the fasting begins from the taking of the early dawn meal.
Yes.
To the sunset. That's the fasting period where you cannot go to. You cannot. Yeah, if you deliberately go, it's one of the gravest sins.
Is that haram?
It's haram. In fact, desecrating the season and the period.
Okay.
And then your fasting of the whole life cannot wipe up that sin according to our destiny. So you can't deliberately, either by way of going to have a sex or doing something that arouses you, going to your own lawfully married wife. I mean, all these things you cannot do. But in the night, you are free to do that, because that is, and then you are outside of the fasting hours. You are free to do that. But during the fasting hours, no, you cannot do that.
So what is the difference between haram and halal?
Yeah, haram is prohibited, principles of prohibition.
Okay.
And halal is what is permitted.
Or what is allowed?
Yeah, what's allowed. So something that you can eat, something that you can do, something that's permitted. These are halal.
Okay.
But what is haram is completely prohibited.
Okay.
You cannot. If you do,
All right.
and you don't have to do that.
Thank you for the education.
Yes.
I'm fully equipped with good information here. Reverend, since we're in the period, brief Easter message, 2 minutes.
I think we want to just thank God for the gift of Christ. You know, the Bible says there's no shedding of blood, there will not be remission of sin. And for us as Christians, dying on the cross was the greatest gift to man. It connected us back to God. What Adam and Abraham and all the prophets of old couldn't do, Jesus came to do and reconnected us back to God. So let's use Easter time to reconcile. I'm coming back here tomorrow morning. I'm speaking on the Easter festival, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Good.
Sheikh, you are not privileged to be part of that one.
Yes, but at least I can say, we solidarize.
Yes.
With the whole worldwide Christian community. Their season, and in the spirit of our global peace and tolerance and coexistence, we wish them, we hold the Christian community well in this season of the. At least we also believe in Jesus Christ. You cannot be a Muslim. You cannot be a Muslim faithful if you reject Jesus Christ and other very important prophets. So at least on that note alone, I mean, we are together, and hope that to be their prayers. And everything will be answered, and the country will be a beneficiary. Like we are also fasting, hoping that as we fast and keep on praying, the force of prayer that comes from the Christian community and the Muslim community will keep our country peaceful and prosperous.
So we see you tomorrow.
And the Lord bless you and keep you all. And I pray that you use this Easter festival time to reconnect back to Christ, the hope of glory. And the Lord bless you exceptionally. Amen.
Amen.
Tomorrow.
No one knows tomorrow.
No.
That's the title of the song that we're going to play out.
Okay.
No one knows tomorrow.
Which one is it?
It's by a lady called Asha. You enjoy it?
No tomorrow.
Yes. No one. Not the one that you know.
Okay. I thought there was one I knew.
This is GTV Breakfast. We're talking money in the next segment. So you stick around. Don't go anywhere. Enjoy.